I'm Ira Herman, and in this recording, we're going to take a look at dotenv and how to add dotenv to our project. So I've pulled up the npmjs.com package info for dotenv. You can do this as well. If you Google for npm.env, it'll pull it up just like this as the first option. And we can see here we've got the main info we need to get this to work. The idea is if we put a .env file into our project, then we won't be committing private keys or any private information to our Git repository. And that way, we're not going to leak info to GitHub that's just publicly available, like our database connection, or if we have any API keys or other passwords, like to email servers, things like that. Those are all good places to put, or all good things to put into our .env file. So the way that we install it, we're going to npm install.env into our project. Then we're going to require .env into our server.js at the beginning of it, the top of it. And then we're going to go ahead and add to the configuration a db host equals db user, db password. We can put key value pairs in here and make them accessible inside of our other project files through process.env. So process.env dot, and then the name of the key that we created in our .env, and that's going to go ahead and set that up. So let's give it a try. I've got a project loaded up here, and it is a fruits app. Basically, we can view an index page and see all these fruits, and we can edit a fruit. We can delete a fruit. We can create a new fruit if we go to the fruits/new page. So just a basic CRUD app. Create, read, update, delete. So let's take a look at our project here and see what the code looks like and where we're going to use .env to take our private data, our connection string out, and put it into this .env file so that it doesn't end up in our GitHub repository. So pretty straightforward. We've got a server.js here. That's our main entry point. If we look at our package JSON, we can see that our main is server.js, and that's how Node and Express knows to run this first whenever we run our server or boot up nodemon. We've also got some dependencies, EJS, Express, method override, and Mongoose installed right here. So if we do an npm install, it's going to add these libraries if we didn't already have them on our computer. We'll also be adding in the .env library to get this in our project to make this all work. We've also got MVC set up, so we've got models, views, and controllers, various views for index, edit, new, and show. We've got our controllers for the fruits and the different routes there. And then we've also got our models, and so that's where our fruits.js is defined. We've got our Mongoose schema here, and this is all how the app is going to run. Now, what we'll be doing is taking this connection string right here, mongoose.connect. We're going to take this out so that it doesn't end up committed and publicly accessible in our code base. And yours might look a little different. You might have a Mongoose Connect here, or you might have a separate file like a database.js or a config folder and then database.js in there. It's going to work the same whether it's in there or it's here in the server.js. So we want to ultimately remove this connection string and put an environment variable there instead. That way, if anyone gets our code, it's just going to have an environment variable. It won't have our secrets in there like my username or my password, which are right there in the connection string. So we don't want that out in the public. All right, so let's make this happen. First thing we're going to do is install .env. So we can follow some of the instructions here in the README. If we come down here, can npm install .env, because we're using npm, we're not using yarn in this project. So if I open up a terminal, and I'll make a new tab here, can do an npm install .env. There we go. So now that has added the package to our project. And we can see that in our package JSON. It's added .env here. Now let's see what the next step is. So next thing we want to do is we want to, in our application at the top of our entry point, require .env config. This makes it load up. Make sure you remember this step. If you forget this, it's not going to work. So we'll just put this, we could put this even at the very top of our file, and that's fine. So that loads in .env right at the top so we can access environment variables anywhere else in here. If your Mongoose Connect is in a different file, like database.js, then you want to put this require line at the top of that file as well. So you're going to put this at the top of any file where you're using .env or you're using an environment variable for it to work. All right, next up, we're going to create a .env file in the root directory of our project and start adding variables in there. So let's make, in the root of this project, we can make .env. And so we've created that file. Verify that it's here in the root. It's not in one of these subfolders. And then we can make a variable name, like all uppercase is the convention here because it's a constant. We'll do mongodb underscore URI equals, and then we put our connection string. So let's go grab that. In our Mongoose Connect, we're going to take out this whole string, everything in the quotation marks. I'm going to Command X that. So I'm going to cut that. We'll get back to this in a minute. We're going to put this right in here. You don't need the quotes, but I like to put them anyway. I think just a good formatting touch. So it'll work either way. We'll save that .env file with our connection string in here. And now we can refer to this as mongodb underscore URI. So let's try that. I'm going to copy that to clipboard. We'll go back to our server. And now to get this to work, we're going to replace where that string was with all lowercase process.env dot and then that environment variable mongodb URI. So it should look like this: mongoose.connect and then process.env.mongodb underscore URI, comma, and then our configuration object. And now we've taken that private information out of the server.js file. I'm going to save that, and we're going to test to see if it works. So let's make sure our nodemon is working. I'm going to get into my terminal here for that. Looks like nodemon started up. It's listening and connected to Mongo. Great. Now I'm going to flip over to Chrome and see if I refresh this, or Command R will work for that. Looks like our server's working. Can I click a banana? Yes, that works. Can I click the orange? Yep. So that's all working. Even though we've refactored our application, it no longer has our Mongo server connection string in there. That is safely tucked away in .env. If you want to know more about gitignore and how to set it up, check out part 2 of this video series.